Nobody knew why she slept at work every day until this happened. Have you ever judged someone without knowing what they were going through? What if the person everyone laughed at was actually fighting a battle no one could see? Today's story is about a young woman whose coworkers mocked her every day because she kept falling asleep at work. But when the truth finally came out, it changed everyone's life forever. Before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs inspiration today. Now, let's begin. Grace was 28 years old and worked as an administrative assistant in a large company. She was quiet, hardworking, and always polite. But there was one thing everyone noticed. Almost every day, Grace would fall asleep at her desk. Sometimes during meetings. Sometimes while typing reports. Sometimes during lunch break. At first, people were concerned. But as weeks turned into months, concern became laughter. Look, Grace is sleeping again. Maybe she spends all night partying. How can someone be this lazy? The joke spread across the office. Some employees secretly took photos of her sleeping. Others shared memes in private group chats. Grace heard the laughter. She saw the whispers. But she never defended herself. She simply smiled and continued working. One Monday morning, the company hired a new operations manager named Mr. Daniels. Unlike the previous manager, he was very strict. He believed discipline was everything. On his third day, he caught Grace sleeping at her desk. His face immediately darkened. "Grace," he shouted. The entire office became silent. Grace woke up suddenly. "I'm sorry, sir." "Sorry," he replied. "I've been here 3 days and I've already caught you sleeping twice." Everyone watched. Some secretly enjoyed the moment. Finally, someone was holding Grace accountable. Mr. Daniels issued her an official warning. "If this happens again, you may lose your job." Grace lowered her head. "Yes, sir." But something unusual happened. Instead of arguing, she quietly accepted the warning. The next few weeks were difficult. Grace tried everything to stay awake. She drank coffee. She splashed water on her face. She stood while working. But nothing helped. Her eyes constantly looked tired. Dark circles formed under them. One afternoon, she accidentally fell asleep during an important meeting. Mr. Daniels was furious. "This is unacceptable." He scheduled a disciplinary hearing. Many employees assumed Grace would finally be fired. Some even began discussing who would replace her. Grace remained silent. She never begged. She never explained. She simply accepted whatever was coming. The disciplinary meeting was scheduled for Friday morning. But that Thursday evening, something unexpected happened. Grace never came to work. The next morning, she was absent too. This was unusual. Grace had never missed work before. By afternoon, the company received a call. The news shocked everyone. Grace had collapsed from exhaustion and had been admitted to the hospital. Even Mr. Daniels was surprised. He decided to visit her after work. What he discovered there changed everything. When Mr. Daniels arrived at the hospital, he found Grace resting in a ward. Beside her bed sat 3 young children. The oldest looked about 12. The youngest couldn't have been older than 5. The children held her hands tightly. Mr. Daniels was confused. He thought Grace was unmarried. Then a nurse approached. "You must be from her workplace." "Yes," he replied. The nurse sighed. "She's one of the strongest women I've ever met." "What do you mean?" The nurse explained. 5 years earlier, Grace's sister and brother-in-law had died in a tragic accident. Their 3 children had no one to care for them. Grace stepped in. She became both mother and father. She worked a full-time job during the day. At night, she cleaned offices to earn extra money. After returning home, she cooked, helped with homework, washed clothes, and cared for the children. Most nights, she slept less than 3 hours. Mr. Daniel stood frozen. Suddenly everything made sense. The exhaustion. The sleeping. The silence. The refusal to complain. Grace wasn't lazy. She was carrying a burden most people couldn't imagine. The following Monday, Grace returned to work. She expected to be fired. Instead, she was called into the conference room. As she entered, she noticed the entire staff was present. The room was unusually quiet. Mr. Daniel stood at the front. Then he spoke. "I owe someone an apology." Everyone looked confused. He continued. "I judged Grace without knowing her story." The room became silent. Then he shared everything he had learned. Many employees lowered their heads in shame. Some began crying. They remembered the jokes, the gossip, the photos, the laughter. Grace had endured all of it while sacrificing everything for 3 children. For the first time, everyone saw her differently. Not as the woman who slept at work, but as a hero. A few days later, the staff came together with a plan. They organized a fundraiser. Some donated money. Others donated food, school supplies, and clothing. One employee offered free tutoring for the children. Another helped with transportation. The company itself adjusted Grace's schedule, allowing her more flexibility. When Grace discovered what everyone had done, tears filled her eyes. For years she had carried the burden alone. Now she finally had support. The office that once mocked her had become her second family. 2 years later, life looked very different. The children were thriving in school. Grace had earned a promotion. She no longer needed a second night job. One afternoon, the oldest child stood before his graduating class and delivered a speech. At the end, he said, "The person who taught me strength isn't famous. She isn't rich. She's my Aunt Grace. She gave up her dreams so that we could have ours." The audience stood and applauded. Grace cried. Not because of the applause, but because every sacrifice had been worth it. Moral of the story. Never judge people by what you see on the surface. Many are fighting battles you know nothing about. A little kindness can change someone's life. The person you laugh at today may be carrying a burden heavier than you could ever imagine. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video so more people can hear this message. Share it with your friends and family. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications for more powerful, emotional, and inspiring stories. Tell us in the comments. Have you ever been judged unfairly, or have you ever discovered someone's hidden struggle? Until next time, stay kind, stay inspired, and remember, everyone has a story.